While geniuses worked in shadows, others bled in daylight to bring them the keys. Most of us know the story of Alan Turing and the brilliant minds at Bletchley Park, who broke the unbreakable Enigma code. We see them as the heroes who single-handedly won the war of intelligence. But that's only half the story. The truth is, their genius depended on the courage of other soldiers who faced impossible odds to snatch secrets from the very heart of the enemy. This is the story of a mission so secret, so daring, it was erased from the history books for decades. This is the story of Operation Biting. By early 1942, the Battle of the Atlantic was at its peak. German U-boats, hunting in wolf packs, were sinking Allied ships faster than they could be built. Bletchley Park was struggling. The German Navy had introduced a new, more complex Enigma machine, the four-rotor shark cipher, and the codebreakers were blind. They needed a breakthrough, a chink in the armor. The target was a German Wurzburg radar station near the village of Bruneval. This advanced radar was a key part of Germany's air defense network, guiding night fighters to intercept British bombers. But British intelligence suspected it held something more. They believed its technology was linked to the complex communications network that coordinated the U-boats. To crack the shark cipher, they needed to get their hands on its components. The problem, it was deep inside enemy territory. Perched on a 400-foot cliff and surrounded by machine guns and entrenched German soldiers, a frontal assault would be a massacre. A bombing run would destroy the very components they needed to capture. The task seemed impossible. This is where Major John Frost and his men of C Company, 2nd Parachute Battalion, enter the story. These were not just soldiers, they were a new breed of warrior, trained to drop from the sky behind enemy lines. The plan, codenamed Operation Biting, was audacious. Frost's 120 paratroopers would be dropped under the cover of darkness, storm the radar station, dismantle the key components, and then, instead of fighting their way back to a plane, they would make a mad dash for the beach. There, the Royal Navy would be waiting to extract them if they could make it. Every part of the mission was a gamble. The weather, the accuracy of the drop, the German response, any single thing going wrong would mean certain death or capture for every man involved. On the freezing night of February 27, 1942, the paratroopers boarded their Whitley bombers. Among them was a Royal Air Force flight sergeant, or radar expert named C.W.H. Cox. His job wasn't to fight, but to identify and dismantle the precise parts of the Wurzburg radar, all while under enemy fire. He was the only one who knew what to look for. If he was killed, the entire mission would be for nothing. The flight was tense. As they crossed the French coast, anti-aircraft fire lit up the night sky. One plane was hit, forced to turn back. The green light flashed. Go, go, go. Frost and his men plunged into the blackness, their parachutes blossoming against the moonlit clouds. The drop was scattered. Others landed right in the middle of German patrols. The element of surprise was already slipping away. But Frost was a brilliant leader. Rallying the men he could find, he divided them into 3 groups. One would secure the beach for the evacuation. Another would create a diversion, drawing the main German force away. And Frost himself would lead the assault group directly on the villa housing the radar equipment. What followed was a scene of controlled chaos. The paratroopers charged the villa, grenades and Sten guns blazing. The German sentries, caught completely by surprise, were quickly overwhelmed. In the fierce, close-quarters fighting, bullets ricocheted off the walls. Amid the mayhem, Flight Sergeant Cox, with a set of specialized tools and a cool head, went to work. He had only minutes. German reinforcements were on their way. Gunfire erupted all around him as he methodically unscrewed panels and snipped wires, his hands working furiously to liberate the radar's vital heart, the transmitter, the receiver, and the pulse modulator, with the components secured in a specially designed trolley. The real race began. They had the prize. But now they had to get out. The diversionary force was heavily engaged, holding back a growing number of German soldiers. Frost gave the order to withdraw to the beach. They fought their way down the steep, icy path, dragging the heavy trolley, carrying their wounded. The Germans were closing in, their machine guns raking the cliffs. The paratroopers reached the shore, but the Royal Navy was nowhere in sight. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed they were trapped. Then, through the darkness, they saw the signal lamp. The boats were there, waiting just offshore. But the tide was low, and the landing craft couldn't get close enough. The men, some of them wounded, had to wade through the freezing, waist-deep water, under constant fire from the cliff tops. They formed a human chain, passing the precious radar components and their injured comrades from man to man out to the boats. It was a desperate, heroic effort. Miraculously, almost all of them made it. 2 men were killed, 6 were captured, but over 100 men and their priceless cargo were safely on their way back to England. The success of Operation Biting sent shockwaves through the German High Command, but for the Allies, it was a monumental victory. Back in Britain, the captured Wurzburg components were rushed to the telecommunications research establishment. Scientists, including the brilliant R.V. Jones, were able to reverse engineer the German radar technology. This not only allowed them to develop window chaff that could blind German radar, but it also provided the crucial technical intelligence that Bletchley Park so desperately needed. The information gleaned from the raid helped the codebreakers understand the intricate communication network that supported the Enigma machine. It was a key piece of the puzzle that, combined with other breakthroughs, eventually allowed them to crack the shark cipher and turn the tide in the Battle of the Atlantic. The men of Operation Biting were heroes, but their story was buried under layers of official secrecy for decades. They were ordinary men who performed an extraordinary act of bravery. They weren't codebreakers in a quiet room. They were soldiers who risked everything on a frozen cliff in France. Their courage provided the key that helped unlock one of the war's greatest secrets. The story of Enigma is not just a tale of intellectual triumph. It's also a story of sacrifice, of blood and bravery, of men like Major Frost and Flight Sergeant Cox who bled in daylight to bring the geniuses and the shadows the keys to victory. They remind us that behind every great breakthrough, there are often unsung heroes who risked it all. If this hidden story moved you, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More forgotten heroes are waiting to be remembered.